comment. Writer Amelia Hiller argues that removing To Kill a Mockingbird from schools denies students vital education. Last week it was announced that Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird has been removed from class reading lists in the Biloxi School District of Mississippi. The reason? It makes people feel uncomfortable. The issue is, this is a novel which primarily focuses on racial inequality in the 1930s Deep South, so making you feel uncomfortable is pretty much the point of the book. According to the Sun Herald, the concerns of some regarding the use of the word endure has resulted in an administrative and departmental decision to completely remove the novel from the 8th grade curriculum. I'm not denying that the novel's language is derogatory, and the frequent use of racial slurs alongside the disconcerting tone of many characters within the novel was inevitably going to make me feel uncomfortable when I first read To Kill a Mockingbird at the age of 13. It still does now. However, it must be remembered that ultimately this is a work of fiction. To Kill a Mockingbird is Lee's attempt at creating realistic characterization, and the fact that she forces the reader to dwell on the inappropriateness of certain speech and attitude throughout the text means she has succeeded in forming the realistic characters that she aspired to create. This is a masterpiece of American literature because it encapsulates so many challenging themes. That's why To Kill a Mockingbird is so successful. Just 1 year after its publication, the novel won the Pulitzer Prize in Fiction and since then has sold over 40 million copies in 10 different languages. To me, and to millions of others across the world, this is a masterpiece of American literature because it encapsulates so many challenging themes and encourages the reader to think about issues such as racism, drug abuse, rape and mental health, yet it is narrated from the perspective of a child no more than 9 years of age. Through the character of Atticus Finch, something of a moral compass within the novel, Lee provides the reader with many valuable lessons regarding compassion and empathy. Indeed, the novel is fundamentally didactic in its nature, making it an excellent way to breach the topic of equality within schools, assuming that children are old enough to study it. What bothers me so much about the decision to pull the book from the curriculum is that these children, in my opinion, are definitely old enough to be reading the novel and discussing its themes within a classroom. The average 8th grader is 13 to 14 years old. At this age, people are exposed to sensitive language in music, video games and films every single day. Current affairs aren't exactly soft at present, and there is no doubt that young people will watch or read global news which disturbs them just as much as language in To Kill a Mockingbird might. If the novel is studied within the confines of a classroom, they can discuss why the language in the novel is unacceptable, as well as the impact of the text's wider themes. A lot has changed since the 1930s, and even since the 1960s, when To Kill a Mockingbird was first published. However, many of its themes remain relevant in contemporary America, and ultimately I believe that learning about Lee's overall message within the novel would do more good than harm. After all, the term was already halfway through, so the perceived damage in reading the text is probably already done. Ultimately, To Kill a Mockingbird is an American classic, and I find it bizarre that it is still being challenged rather than celebrated in some American schools. Just last year, the novel was banned in Accomack County in Virginia due to a parent's complaint about its use of racist language. I accept that racial slurs are not what you would want your child to read, but in my opinion, 13-year-olds should be mature enough to discuss racism and racist slurs and take away the message that such attitudes should not be tolerated in contemporary society. In 2016, the NCAC pointed out that the racial slurs realistically depict American history. Studying history does sometimes involve encountering uncomfortable language and themes, whether it be through literature such as this or an alternative medium. The point is, unless a child ceases all contact with the outside world, there is no escape from uncomfortable language, whether historical or contemporary. Better to encounter it in the classroom, under the guidance of a teacher, than when they are alone. Many of its themes remain relevant in contemporary America, And ultimately I believe that learning about Lee's overall message within the novel would do more good than harm. I think that the Biloxi School District needs to realize that this isn't the 1960s anymore. America prides itself on freedom of speech and democracy, yet by banning the text from 8th grade classrooms, they are preventing young people from studying one of the greatest pieces of American literature ever written. In short, the school district administration are censoring the education of young Americans. This is a book that can teach young people so much about the context of 1930s Deep South racism, as well as lessons of compassion and empathy regardless of social or racial status, and the fact that it has been pulled mid-term from lessons is absurd. To Kill a Mockingbird is an extremely important novel, and it should be studied in American classrooms.